Welcome to another chapter of Authorization and Authentication for mobile developers. Our example was Flutter, and I hope you're landing on this video for understanding how to get user info from OpenID UserInfo endpoint. Let's learn about it. In the theory part of this series, okay, if you're coming for the first time to these playlists, please go back, watch the theories, and you understand what we're talking about. But to give you a short summary, you still can watch this video. You don't need to watch the entire series. The OpenID Connect provides a standard for retrieving user information with those claims or scopes that we provided in our request and user has accepted and they are logged in with that. So the current user, we can receive the information for those users. And the endpoint is fairly simple. It's just your issuer or your OAuth server / user info. You can see that right now on the screen. This is very simple. So now let's go to the project that we've done so far together. And again, if you're watching for the first time this video, don't worry about it. So you still can watch and learn from the video. But if you want to learn more, please watch all the videos in this series. Let's go to the code and implement this and understand more. All right. So we have added at least profile and email to the scope here. So this is already great, right? We learned about OpenID as well as offline access. So you can watch previous videos for those. We're going to go and get user information. But when is the best time to access, like to get those user information? That's the time when the authentication is successful, and we are going to take a look at this function. We're going to parse ID token and we get the access token, and if they are available. So then in that case, we are going to save the refresh token here as well, right? Here is the best time probably also ask for user information. So you get the profile of the user and set it somewhere locally. So then you can always get profile of the user. Then you can say, who is this person? What is like the name of the person or email or everything that you added to the scope. So you get all those claims. All right. But then how can we do that? So it's very simple. Let's say, very simple. I'm going to go to my, here is my auth service. So this is my auth service class as a singleton. So I'm just going to go and add another local variable here, member. And that is going to be profile. But then we will definitely, let's say an auth0 profile. For those who are watching this video for the first time, we have used auth0 as our OAuth backend or serverless backend for this application. So you may have other, OAuth server, that's okay, but still this is valid for you too. So you're going to get this OAuth profile. So we need to go and actually create this profile. Or maybe I can actually say user, OAuth user. That doesn't matter. What we can do here, we can go and to models in our application, and I can just create another auth0 user, and that could be a Dart file. I can actually duplicate this with .g because this is going to use JSON serializable. And we need that too. That's good. So this is going to be similar to this one, right? Let's do that. Let's maybe copy the whole thing. I need to rename this to auth0 then user. And that's already good. Yes. And that everything looks fine. That is going to be a, okay. So this is going to be our class. At the moment, I don't know what I need to put there, but we will figure it out very soon. Let's go back to our service. Let me close this. So now at least I have this class, so I can just import it. Let's go down. We are going to set this here. We can say that is going to be maybe await get user details. And we already have, in this case, access token. So we can pass access token to this. In order to get user details, in order to call UserInfo endpoint, you need to have access token, a bearer token that you get. Otherwise, you're not able to do that. So then, in fact, the access token you pass tells the OAuth server that, you know, this is my user. Look at this user and give me all the information. Let's now go and define this function together. I have written somewhere here, get user details. So let's actually define it here. This is going to accept for sure an access token. All right. So far, so good. So now let's take a look at like what should we do. This is actually very important. This part that I'm gonna mention right now. I told you that let's take a look at this. First of all, well, this is going to be an HTTP get request. I need to add that to publicspec.yaml file, HTTP library, or whatever library that you use for making these calls. Don't worry about it. I use HTTP. So in this case, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just say, first of all, I need to construct the URL. So what is going to be the URL for that? It's going to be an HTTPS, right? It's always secure. And then here's the case. Look at this. For those who probably have not watched the theory part, again, or for reminding our head quickly, we're going to have HTTPS, and here is going to be the server, and then user info. This is going to be what we are going to construct right now, right? So let's do that then. In fact, the server here in this case going to be the domain that we, server domain, let's say, that we defined in this server. So what have we defined? That was a constant. You are right. We had auth0 domain here. And then the next parameter would be user info. This is a standard. Any OpenID Connect extension to OAuth server will give you this for sure. So this is a standard. Doesn't matter if you use auth0 or anything else. This is a standard. So then you're going to go and get the URL. You're going to go and then get a response from now we need to make a call. And that's, I said, it's a get. So we're going to go and await for this. All right. But first of all, this must be a sync. That must be feature, and that needs to return. For now, let's not return anything. I'll tell you what we want to do. So let's actually also import HTTP. So we need to go there on the top and say import HTTP package and HTTP as HTTP. Sounds good? So let's move down and once more. So go there. There you go. So again, well, if there is no access token here, nothing can happen, right? Don't worry about it. But then we have an access token. All right, now you can make this call and you have the access token. That's nice, but you need to add that access token to authorization header. So let's go and then add an header. So in fact, the second parameters of get function on HTTP library is a header that can be a map. Well, let's take a look at this right now. That's much better. So now this is going to be a map, and what you need to pass, again, that's a standard. It's an authorization header. What needs to be done there? Let's take it here. That's simple. So you have the access token, and that is going to be a bearer token, and then you can pass your access token that you have. In this case, you're calling this endpoint with an authorization header, a bearer token with an access token, that you have, and then you get a response back, which is technically your user information. But in this case, what I get right now, I get just in a string. Let's take a look at that. What I get, it's gonna be user details. Let's just print it out quickly, and then I'm gonna go and say print out response dot body. Response. Oh, I have a spell mistake here. Dot body. So let's see what we get, and then based on this, we go and create our model. So let's have an example here. So I'm gonna just go and restart my application. Very nice. It's gonna take some time, by the way. Oh, I see there is a problem. You see the problem? It says that this argument is nullable. However, I say I always need this here. So to fix this here, that's the problem where we define profile. The problem here is that this is going to say that the access token might be null. In fact, we have already a check. That's a kind of problem, a bug, I would say, because we have a check, and in this check, we are doubling. Oh, we don't actually. This must be access token. We got the bug here. That's a bug in our application. And then another bug here is that now we are 100% sure, you can look at this, this is not going to be null when we say is validated. So in fact, here, we definitely receive something. So this is never going to be null. But the reason that we have it null, because the type that we define there, define here on the root, because in the beginning of the service, it's null. For sure. Now this is going to be a problem here. However, it's pretty safe that I use exclamation mark here, because I am pretty sure when I say my auth result is validated, I'm checking the access token, and that is not going to be null for sure. I reassign this to access token, and I'm pretty sure this is not going to be null anymore. And I am 100% sure this is not going to be null at this stage. Therefore, I can just say, please. Somehow this is saying to Dart that says, please trust me. I know that this is not going to be null. But if you're not 100% sure, go and check the nullability here. Like, go and have the string. Like, alternative could be go there, and then have this as this, nullable. You see now is fixed. But then if you go down in the function, then the problem here is you need to make sure that this is not going to be null. Return some kind of things like return false or return nothing, because otherwise, if you make a call to this with no token, well, you get an error. for sure. So then at this point, I think for me, for this application, it's pretty safe here that I say this is always not null at this point. All right. So now I can actually look at this. Seems like I have another problem here. It's because of this file. Let's look at that. This is very good that we are actually facing these issues together, and you see how you can resolve them. In fact, the problem is here. I'm gonna actually comment this out right now. We don't need it for now. Let's have the application. Now it's reloaded. That's fine. To make sure that everything is reloaded, I'm gonna have a hot restart. So let's go back to the auth service. This is the function. Here is the things. I'm gonna look at my console because I'm printing out. Let's have a login. Go to login. And well, I need to log in most likely. Yes. That would be all right. Now I can actually log in. Cool. And password maybe. I hope do not forget my password. There you go. Look at this right now. Look at this. I actually made a call right now to UserInfo and I received user details, including these informations. That is nice. So you get user information here, email, whether email is verified or not, and a few more things that we're going to talk about, but mostly the user profile, nickname, name, and whatever else. You see that it does not have name because, well, we never had a registration page with name. So that's not a problem. So I get what I wanted. That's nice. So then I can go and create my maybe auth user. So in this case, I'm gonna go and open up here. So a bunch of things that we receive for by looking at again that we see it's a sub. We're gonna talk about sub. That's very important. We're gonna have nickname, a name, picture, and updated at email, email verified, and a few other things that we're not going to talk about it right now, but later in the course. So let's actually create this class then. Then I'm going to have, as I said, well, let's have it. I will fast forward this part because now you know what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to create a model and then make, from JSON and to JSON for Dart. Let's fast forward it, but you look at it, what I am writing. All right. So now I have done the model. So what I have done is that I added some of these properties that I needed. So actually it was part of the user info response. I looked at the from JSON to JSON, and so the file. I ran this command for generating the model, and looks like now I have the file generated here. That's pretty good. So as I see now, everything looks fine. So there is one thing that I want to mention here is that this sub is very important. So the sub, in fact, is user identifier. It's like a unique user identifier. Let me tell you this. This is, in fact, it's actually unique user um, identifier. In fact, this is can be like an ID. So sometimes it's easier to have like a getter, like let's say get ID, and then return this, because it's from time to time it just makes sense. Like naturally, you say, "Oh, I need a user ID," and then you get the user ID here in this case. So this was the things that I wanted to mention to you, and that's pretty important. All right. So now I have the user model, but what next? Why did I create that? Because if I go back now to my auth service where we get the user detail, so here we had this respond.body, which is now going to use, we're now going to actually serialize it, like deserialize it actually. We can just gonna say zero user dot from JSON, but that needs to be a map. Then you can use JSON decode and then pass your body here. So this is going to give you the user. So in fact, then you can return from this a user, or like it might be a user. Why? Because then if actually respond dot status is not or is 200, you get this. And then you can return this for sure. Otherwise, else, I mean, if it's not that, otherwise you need to just throw an exception. Why do I just, now I can say just failed to get user details. Then why do I throw an exception here? The reason is that look at the flow right now. This is going to this function. And then after access token, ID token parse, we call user info and set profile. If anything goes here wrong, we just throw an exception. That's nice. And where do we use this? We use actually this on init, which is wrapped by error handler. Have you watched error handler video? If not, go to the playlist and look at the error handling. So now we're returning this. So if anything goes wrong there, in fact, it goes to the exception part. So then exception, we can just return whatever error it was, right? So in fact, I can right now just have maybe something here like, let's say, e dot message, for example, whatever it's coming here. So that's something that you can do, or you can even create another exception. Let's say user not found exception, and then you catch it somewhere here. That's even much better, to be honest. So, but for now, I leave this practice to you. But you have the entire video about error handling. You can extend these exceptions, and then you can catch that particular exception that we just talked about, like get user. Let's go to get user. You may have like, in fact, let me actually give you an idea how you can create that exception, yourself. So let's see, this is an exception, right? So you can come up here like with a class, say user info exception, which is going to implement exceptions. Okay. So what do you need? So in fact, you need a string of message, maybe. So that's a consistent one. And then you're going to have a const user info exception, which is going to be this message. That's your custom exception. That's nice. Well, then you can go here and through an exception, this one with a message, you go to your error handling function, this one. And then here we can actually extend it and say on user catch and actually return e.message. There you go. So now even if it's failing, it actually comes there and you can show the error message to your user. That's a very nice way of doing that. So now everything is set. We're pretty good right now. We're going to go and restart. Great. Now everything is ready. Let's go and log in once more. So I'm going to go and log in here. That's good. And then I'm going to go and like do this. Very nice. Oh, there is an error. There is an error. There is an error, and I need to understand why there is an error. And you look at my debug console. Here is one thing that in error handling video I mentioned to you. The fact that we have an try catch makes the error not appearing here because now we don't print it out. In fact, what I can tell here, I can maybe use my logger or the devlog that I used everywhere and then debug this for sure. Or temporary, I can just debug the error as well as the trace. So let's see why there is an error in fact. Let's restart and let's open up the debug, go through here, log in. I'm gonna log in once more. That can be very fast. And then the hopefully error comes here. Oh, look at this here. So, well, then in this line, I'm getting a Boolean, but I cast it to string, which is not correct. It's actually emailed verified. That's my bad. I am very sorry for that. That is my bad. In fact, email verified is Boolean. Let's actually let's fix it. Let's go to here. Oh, this is a string. This must be Boolean. This must be Boolean. And that was my problem. All right. In fact, we get email, we get name, nickname, sub, everything else looks fine. Then we're going to go and we need to run one more time, build runner. So I'm going to skip this or move faster. So then we can come back when it's fixed. All right, now this is created. I'm going to go and restart again. Let's go back to my service. And I'm going to remove this print as well. I don't need it, not even the trace. That's good. So I'm going to wait here. And all right. So one thing I can do also for you before we reload is that I can say user info. And I actually want to print this out to see what we see in the console. So let's go to debug. Now go to sign in. We're going to go and sign in. And let's sign in. All right. So then after this sign in, this time, hopefully, if there is no error, well, there is no error. You see, I get what I needed to see here, my user. All right, so now I'm gonna remove this. And in fact, I can return the entire thing again. This is looking pretty good. So now I have user info. I am ready to go to the next video. In the next videos, we're gonna implement different things. Maybe a real-time chat for my application, MJ Coffee app. We'll see. I'll see you in the next chapter.